Here's a rundown of our top stories. I'm Brian Polio Manzares, and this is GlacierHub News. For the 40% of the world's population who live within 100 kilometers of the coastline, sea level rise is more than just a mathematical calculation. It's a survival challenge. A new analysis published in the Journal of Science argues that the largest uncertainty in ice sheet models used to predict future sea level rise comes from our limited understanding of underwater processes. In particular, we have a limited understanding of underwater processes at the ice bed interface. Leigh Stearns, a scientist at the Center for Remote Sensing of Ice Sheets from the University of Kansas, says, quote, "We found the commonly used model for basal sliding, the Weirdman model, does not apply to all 140 Greenland glaciers that we analyzed." She hopes that further studies regarding the variables that affect glacier sliding speed will be taken into consideration for future sea level rise models. The Environmental Monitoring of Svalbard and Jan Mayen, MOSJ, is an umbrella program that collects and analyzes environmental data in the Arctic regions of Svalbard and Jan Mayen. Some of the data they study includes the extent and thickness of sea ice around Svalbard, Fram Strait, and the Barents Sea. Their report on the assessment of the region says, quote, "Both sea ice extent and thickness have declined drastically over the past few decades as a consequence of anthropogenic global warming. The decrease in Arctic sea ice extent has been most pronounced in summer, 13.3% per decade, but is also significant in the winter, 2.7% per decade. The research says it is very likely for the global mean sea level rise to continue to rise at a rate that will exceed the observed rate from 1971 to 2010. The rate, however, is dependent on the development of future CO2 emissions and other climate change drivers. A recent paper published in the Journal of Glaciology explores how a team of researchers studied waves in a Patagonian lake to detect glacier calving events at Glaciar Perito Moreno. Calving events occur when an iceberg detaches itself from the glacier front. Such events produce waves of different magnitudes as the glacier discharges into the ocean or an adjacent lake. The researchers created time-lapse images and categorized them by separating calving events into 4 groups. 1. Topple, an ice tower toppling into the lake. 2. Drop, an ice block dropping into the water. 3. Serac, a small piece of serac slipping into the lake. And 4. Subaqueous, an underwater iceberg detachment that floats up to the lake's surface. Their results showed that calving events were 2.6 times more frequent during the austral summer, that's December to March, as compared to spring, which takes place in October. However, the paper's lead author, Masahiro Minowa, says, quote, "Initially, we expected a clear difference in wave frequencies between subaqueous and subaerial events. While we could see some differences in frequencies, we are unsure if this is a result of different calving styles." And those have been your top stories for this week. I'm Brian Polio Manzares, and this is GlacierHub News. For more glacier-related news, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Keep it cool, and have a great week.